Minnesota is famous for its lakes, and we as Minnesotans love our water. We fish, canoe, swim, and boat in our lakes, and we also rely on them to provide us with drinking water. For these reasons, and so many more, it's important that we protect our water bodies, especially when new conditions threaten their health and safety. Unfortunately, something called cyanobacteria is doing just this. Cyanobacteria are small organisms which are commonly found in water bodies. This special type of microscopic bacteria produces oxygen through photosynthesis with the help of sunlight and CO2, much like how plants do. Cyanobacteria is also known as blue-green algae because it often turns water into a bluish-green color, though it can also turn water into other colors like red, brown, yellow, and even pink. When there's enough cyanobacteria, they can cluster along the surface of freshwater lakes or rivers and noticeably discolor the water. We call this an algal bloom. Algal blooms can be caused by many factors, from increased CO2 levels in the atmosphere or even warmer temperatures created by global warming. But a large cause can come from a process known as eutrophication. Eutrophication is a fancy word which means excessive plant or algal growth. This can happen as more nutrients from the soil wash into the water and help the algae grow. This is a quite natural process as sediments, or natural pieces of small rock, frequently wash into lakes and rivers. However, human activities have been causing more and more eutrophication to occur. For example, fertilizers, which are chemicals which help plants to grow, often wash into rivers when it rains. These fertilizers then end up helping the algae to grow rapidly, causing algal blooms. Algal blooms look unpleasant in water, and they also smell quite bad, but that's not all. They can also cause major health problems for the environment around them. Let's take a look at something called a fish kill. Doesn't sound too pleasant, does it? When there's too much cyanobacteria on the surface of the water, this scummy layer can block sunlight from reaching the underwater plants at the bottom of lakes and rivers. This causes the plants to die. Eventually, the thick algae layer will also die, leaving a lake with no plants. Plants produce oxygen inside of the water, which is important because fish need that oxygen to survive, just like you and me. Without plants, the fish that live in the water don't have enough oxygen, so they die off, sometimes in large numbers. This is why it's called a fish kill. Even worse, algal blooms can produce toxins in the water known as cyanotoxins. These toxins can be very harmful to birds, mammals, and even humans. Let's look at an example. Back in 2014, in Toledo, Ohio, a large amount of cyanobacteria grew in a nearby Lake Erie. This algal bloom released a lot of cyanotoxins into the lake. Unfortunately, this lake was a popular spot for the people of Toledo, who would shower, swim, and even drink the water. This release of cyanotoxins was incredibly dangerous, which meant people couldn't use Lake Erie at all, not for swimming, and definitely not for drinking. This is because the toxins in the water could hurt their livers, cause stomach issues like vomiting and nausea, and even provoke dizziness. This one algal bloom caused a lot of problems for the residents of Toledo, who weren't able to use this water body for a long time. We are seeing algal blooms more and more often. In Florida, one particularly long-lasting algal bloom in 2018 lasted for 14 months and killed 100 manatees, 127 dolphins, and 589 sea turtles. Luckily, some groundbreaking research is being done at universities, like the University of Minnesota's St. Anthony Falls Laboratory, to help solve the issue of cyanobacterial algal blooms. Professor Judy Yang and her team at the Environmental Transport Lab are testing a solution called clay algae flocculation in Minnesota. What is clay algae flocculation? This is when clay is sprayed into the water that has been contaminated with cyanobacteria. The clay sticks to the cyanobacterial cells, and the mixture clumps together. These clumps of clay and bacteria then sink to the bottom of the lake and are buried by sediments, where bacteria will die from the lack of oxygen and light. Now, this method is not new. It's already proven incredibly successful in Eastern Asian countries for over 30 years. Professor Yang and her team are deepening our understanding of this method by seeing how it works in Minnesota's colder freshwater lakes and rivers. They are also looking at how effective locally sourced clay from the Midwest is at clumping the cyanobacteria. If this local clay is successful, it will help provide a sustainable solution to algal blooms. Professor Yang and her team at the St. Anthony Falls Laboratory at the University of Minnesota are leading important research which can help us solve the issue of harmful algal blooms. This research will help keep Minnesota's lakes and rivers healthy for generations to come. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit yang.cege.umn.edu for information on the Environmental Transport Lab, or visit csc.umn.edu/SAFL to learn more about other environmental work happening at the University of Minnesota's St. Anthony Falls Laboratory.